The story begins in a magical world filled with fantasy, monsters, and enchantments. Humans have long been locked in battle with all manner of demonic beasts, but dragons, especially, inspired deep resentment. This grudge drove a powerful group of adventurers to break into the lair of an ancient dragon. With immense skill, they trapped the dragon, and their hero ultimately delivered the killing blow. As the dragon lay dying, he pondered why humans would attack him when he had never sought to harm them. However, his fate was not sealed, as he was reincarnated as a human, born to a humble family of farmers in a quiet village. His parents named him Dolan, and he grew up to be a capable young man haunted by flashes of memories from his dragon days. Although these visions bothered him, he ignored them and worked diligently in the fields each day, as farming was the only job around. In this world, people are considered adults by the age of 15, a fact which would have been a lifesaver for Epstein. But with adulthood came independence, meaning young people had to fend for themselves. One morning, Dolan set off to the river to fish with his scrappy brother. His brother, who was quite the sight, asked if Dolan planned on visiting the swamp the next day. Rumor had it strange things were happening there, though the captain of the village guard was too busy playing Red Dead 2 to investigate. Dolan decided this might be the perfect chance to test himself and see if he was more than just another useless kid, like his ugly brother. After catching an impressive haul of fish, Dolan returned to the village, where he ran into a hottie named Mal and his blonde friend, Frenchie Albert. They were amazed at the fish he'd caught, and Dolan thanked Mal for training him to face any monsters that might lurk in the swamp. Ever the jokester, the French buffoon called Dolan Mon Ami and suggested he should run if he spotted Shrek in the swamp since the ogre had gotten a bit salty over the years. Dolan brushed off the banter and headed back to his house, where he salted the fish to dry. He remembered that his village, situated on the kingdom's fringes, was isolated and lacked the protection of soldiers, so villagers had to defend themselves. Not long after, a red-haired woman called him over for his daily magic training. Dolan went to his teacher's home and used a powerful magic spell, which left the old hag astonished. She remarked that his offensive magic was some of the best she'd seen. That evening, while heading home, Dolan encountered a posh woman who looked like she'd stepped out of an old portrait from the 1800s. The village chief introduced her as Christina Tina, warning Dolan not to act like a fool since she was a noblewoman visiting for a few days. Dolan shook her hand, lingering for a moment before moving on. He quickly sensed that she was skilled, making him wonder why she was here, but as the sun set, he continued toward his parents' home. The winters here were fierce, so Dolan dropped off supplies at his parents' place, receiving a warm welcome. As usual, his mom prepared a fantastic dinner. During the meal, Dolan's dad hinted that he should marry soon, saying he could treat his wife to life in the kitchen, where she'd belong. Dolan, however, laughed it off, saying he wanted to work on himself a bit more before settling down. The next morning, Dolan set out early for the swamp, surprised to find half the village gathered to see him off. The roguish captain waved him on, wanting to get back to his PS5, while the old hag warned that her fortune-telling predicted some danger ahead. Dolan shrugged off the warning and, after receiving a bit of weed from the lowly, set out through the lush, monster-filled forests. After hours of travel, he finally reached the swamp. The water had turned a gross green and smelled atrocious. Dolan dipped his hand in, like Gordon Ramsay inspecting a grimy kitchen, and quickly realized the swamp's chemical makeup was off, making it uninhabitable. Before he could do more, he heard rustling nearby. Turning, he knew only a powerful monster would survive in these conditions, so he gripped his sword and braced himself. Out from the shadows slithered a half-snake, blonde beauty who locked eyes with him and asked if he'd come alone. Bewildered, Dolan, who rarely saw such demons, admitted he was there alone to check the swamp. Without warning, the blonde started wiggling like a pole dancer having a seizure, confusing Dolan even more. She explained she wasn't there to fight, but before Dolan could fully process, a massive beast lunged from behind her, ready to squash her. She screamed for help, and Dolan reacted quickly, slicing off the beast's legs and grabbing the blonde so they could escape. This creature, seemingly made of muck, regenerated its limbs instantly, forcing Dolan and the girl to take cover behind a giant mushroom, a sight that would have pleased Mike Tyson. When the monster finally moved away, Dolan and his new companion took a moment to breathe. She asked what the heck that creature was, and Dolan explained it was an earth elemental that seemed to have gone haywire. Though she was a beast, she'd never seen anything like it. Dolan explained that lizard people once lived in this region, trading occasionally with the villagers, but they'd disappeared recently. He figured this elemental might be behind their absence, possibly birthed from an earthquake in the area. Turning to his snake companion, Dolan asked her name. She introduced herself as Selena, from the breed known as the Lamias, celebrated for their beauty and magical skill. Dolan, familiar with their reputation, asked if she'd fight alongside him. But Selena hesitated, saying her magic wasn't that strong and fearing she'd embarrass herself. Dolan encouraged her, saying she could support him from behind. Selena agreed, though unsure if she could trust a stranger, and prepared to do her best. When Dolan signaled, they leaped from hiding and attacked the monster. The creature fired mud pellets at Selena, but Dolan sliced them away with ease. Selena seized the opportunity and cast a powerful spell that summoned a huge snake, which coiled around the elemental and squeezed without permission. Keeping up the spell took a toll on Selena, but it gave Dolan the chance to close in. The monster broke free, lunged at Dolan, but he dodged and jumped onto the demon, slicing it in two. Relieved, Selena saw the beast collapse, only to get splattered with muck as it fell apart. Dolan rushed over to check if she was okay and thanked her for her support. Without her, he wouldn't have closed the gap so quickly. Noting she was covered in muck, Dolan suggested she clean up. As night fell, they found a small shack for shelter, and Dolan prepared dinner. Selena, flaunting her assets, asked Dolan if he was really unafraid of her. Dolan told her she was different from other Lamias he'd encountered, surprising Selena to learn he'd met her kind before. Those Lamias, however, were more aggressive and distrusting of humans. Curious, Dolan asked why Selena had ventured so close to human lands. She explained that, now at 17, she was an adult and had to search for a husband. Dolan's interest peaked as Selena explained that Lamias are exclusively female, meaning they must find a husband from another race. She added that Lamias were born from a cursed woman, and due to this curse, their bodies produce a poison most men can't handle. Dolan, barely listening, drifted off in thought about how things would even work anatomically, only snapping back when Selena revealed her father was also human. Dolan, determined to impress on his date, serves up a bowl of soup that looks like the leftovers of a witch's potion. Selena, however, digs in with enthusiasm, savoring the soup and even asking if it was made with milk. Dolan chuckles, mentioning how his mother had taught him to make it, and recalling the winters his family would huddle around a fire, sharing stories while they drank soup together. Thinking of those times pulls him back to when he was the divine dragon, spending endless days alone in his cave. Though that was a life of power, it was also one of isolation. Now, he finds himself in the midst of people he trusts. The next morning, he and Selena dress up for the day. Determined to not come across as desperate, Dolan informs Selena he'll be heading back to his village. Selena replies that she's heading south, still on a quest to find her husband. Dolan smiles, musing to himself if their paths are destined to cross again. For now, though, he chooses to go his way, knowing that the adventures awaiting him are just beginning. The following day, Dolan and his red-headed companion Ari learn to make magical medicine under the guidance of the village's resident old hag. She explains that while regular medicine can handle a bit of mess, magical brews require absolute precision because even a small imbalance in ingredients can be catastrophic. Ari, showing surprising talent, nails the recipe on her first try, a natural at the art. Dolan, on the other hand, ends up making a mess, causing his potion to turn an unnatural shade of blue. The old hag, bemused, comments that if he can't keep a better grip on his fingers, keeping his future girlfriend happy might be a challenge. Dolan laughs awkwardly, mumbling an apology, while Ari, smiling, assures him that his unique talents would make him irresistible anyway. Dolan brushes it off, admitting he isn't great with delicate, precise tasks. Ari, however, is more successful, and her potion meets the hag's high standards. She is dismissed for the day, encouraged to go out and enjoy herself. Dolan, who had never worried about illnesses or potions as a dragon, realizes the difficulties of learning such precise tasks in human form. The old hag, noticing his frustration, reassures him that while he's already adept with offensive magic, medicine making takes time, and that he should experiment with different approaches to find what works best for him. Later on, Ari's family invites Dolan to join them for lunch. As they gather to eat, they say a prayer to the goddess Mirel, prompting Dolan to reminisce on how long it has been since he last saw the goddess. After lunch, he starts to head back to his own place, but a village cowgirl stops him on the way and insists on offering him fresh milk. Dolan, knowing her milk has a nearly divine reputation, doesn't want to appear overeager, but before he can decline, she's poured him a full cup. He drinks it all in one breath, savoring the taste, then heads over to the training grounds where Albert, a French knight, is instructing young villagers in combat. As Dolan arrives, the kids stop training to show off their progress, eager for his approval, but he waves them off, telling them to take a break. Suddenly, Dolan senses something lurking in the forest, an energy he finds strangely familiar. Without a word to Albert, he decides to investigate, venturing into the forest alone as night falls. Deep within the trees, Dolan eventually spots the glow of a distant campfire. Approaching, he realizes that it's Selena he sensed, and he arrives just in time to find her enjoying a private bath. She shrieks, mortified to see Dolan staring at her, but Dolan, completely unfazed, steadies her before she can slip. Selena scrambles to cover herself, glaring at him to stop ogling her. Dolan, seemingly oblivious, remarks on her beauty, claiming it won't vanish just because he's admiring it. Selena, flustered, tells him he should show a bit of modesty, but Dolan, smiling, insists that admiring beauty is only natural. She rewards him with a sharp slap across the face, and though she eventually covers herself, she remains visibly irritated. Dolan, clueless about what he did wrong, shifts the subject and asks what she's doing there. With a heavy sigh, Selena admits that most of the men she encountered on her travels were terrified of her. Even though she worked up the courage to greet them, they'd run as soon as they caught a glimpse of her tail. Dolan, sensing an opportunity, suggests that she stay in the village with him. Selena, confused, asks if he's serious, and Dolan clarifies, suggesting she could live peacefully there with him. Selena, clearly thrilled, hesitates, fearing the villagers will be scared of her lamia appearance. Dolan reassures her that his village is already home to demi-humans and beast folk, and that, given time, her kind nature will win everyone over. Overjoyed, Selena accepts Dolan's offer, and Dolan, with a mischievous grin, hints at the extra perks that village life will offer. When Selena nervously wonders if he's hinting at romantic encounters, Dolan clarifies that she'll have access to his life energy whenever she needs. Holding out his hand, Selena takes it, and he channels his energy into her, leaving her visibly glowing with satisfaction. Days later, the village's captain finds fresh game left on their doorstep, a boar and fish, something that's happened a few times now. Redhead Mal notices large snake tracks near the offerings, suggesting it might be the half-snake monster spotted in the forest recently. The captain tells the village elders, wondering aloud if this meat-bearing creature is friend or foe. The captain proposes forming a hunting unit, but some argue that they should contact the capital for reinforcements before making rash moves. The old hag, however, disagrees, reminding the captain that taking drastic action without considering all possibilities could backfire. Just then, Ari enters with a pot in hand, announcing that she completed the fortune reading, as requested. The hag examines it and reveals that the results suggest the presence of a snake as a good omen, so they should avoid harming the lamia. Dolan, listening from outside, is elated, knowing that this means Selena is safe, at least for the time being. That evening, Dolan rushes into the forest to share the news with Selena, explaining that they're ready to go forward with the final stage of their plan. Selena, grateful, thanks him, knowing it was his idea to leave offerings at the village's edge to earn their trust. Dolan brushes off her gratitude, explaining the last part of their scheme. Early the next morning, the village's best fighters gather alongside the knights for a joint training session. Captain Baron addresses them, warning that the lamia could pose a threat. Albert, nudging Dolan, notes that Baron must still consider Selena dangerous to have assembled the village's strongest here. Dolan realizes that, despite Baron's doubts, this gathering is perfect for his final plan. He glances toward the priestess, an important figure whose healing and purification magic is revered by the villagers. As a representative of the church, she has the authority to decide if Selena's presence is a blessing or a curse. Dolan, hopeful, silently prays that she will not condemn Selena. Selena, hidden at the forest edge, trembles nervously. The night before, Dolan had detailed his plan. He would put himself in danger by venturing into a den of low-level monsters, allowing Selena to save him heroically in front of the villagers. The dramatic rescue would paint her as a protector, hopefully securing her acceptance in the village. Selena, though apprehensive, waits for the cue. Dolan, also on high alert, watches as a soldier suddenly sprints from the forest, reporting that he's found the monster. This is the moment they've both been waiting for. Everyone's on edge, thinking Thea, the guardian snake, has arrived. Even Selena, perplexed, starts wondering if there's another snake woman in the area. Suddenly, a massive, armored bear crashes onto the scene, its sheer presence making all the knights turn ghostly pale. Captain Baron, barely able to keep his voice steady, whispers for everyone to back away slowly. Fighting this beast isn't an option, it could crush them with a single blow. The kids panic and start running, with the red-headed cowboy tripping over his own feet and falling hard. The bear's keen eyes lock onto him, and the boy freezes in terror. Dolan, desperate to protect him, starts charging forward, thinking he might have to unleash his dragon powers to stop this colossal foe. But before he reaches the boy, Selena lunges out from the bushes, putting herself between Dolan, the boy, and the deadly bear. She takes a brutal hit from the bear's claw, suffering a deep, gashing wound as she shields them. Everyone stands there, dumbstruck. Ignoring her pain, Selena turns to face the bear, summoning her hypnotic abilities, and compels it to retreat. Amazingly, the bear obeys, lumbering back into the woods as if in a trance. The crowd gasps, marveling at Selena's strange powers. Dolan rushes to her side, anxiously asking if she's okay, but she snaps, asking Dolan if he was blind and can't see her bleeding all over the place. Just then, Captain Baron slams his weapon into the ground, barking at Selena to get away from the villagers. Baron himself calls out to Dolan to move away from her too, but Dolan defies him, stating that Selena just saved their lives and deserves respect. Baron, unwavering, insists she's still a dangerous creature who could threaten the entire village, but Dolan stands his ground, saying that he was raised to repay kindness with kindness, not cruelty, and that he won't abandon her. Sighing, Baron finally relents, agreeing to question Selena before making any hasty decisions. He asks her if she's the one leaving offerings outside the village. She nods and then humbly bows, pleading with him to allow her to stay in the village. Explaining herself, Selena describes the customs of her people, how her journey led her to feel isolated and vulnerable due to her inexperience. She swears she harbors no resentment toward humans, especially since her father was human himself, and promises she'll bring no harm to anyone in the village. Her heartfelt words and solemn vows start to melt the villagers' fear, and Baron turns to the priestess, awaiting her opinion. The priestess, however, is gazing skyward, as a single tear rolls down her cheek. A divine light radiates around her as a message from the goddess Mirel descends upon her. When the vision ends, the priestess turns to the villagers, declaring that Selena is not evil. The goddess herself commands them to live peacefully with Selena. She then steps forward and tells Selena she's welcome in their community. Overjoyed, Selena tries to express her gratitude but collapses from blood loss. Dolan catches her just in time, and they rush her back to the village for treatment. The next day, Selena is back on her tail, healed enough for Dolan and the villagers to surprise her with her very own house. Selena's eyes widen as she steps inside, finding an abundance of soft cushions and a plush toy waiting on her bed. Touched by the villagers' kindness, she thanks everyone profusely. Baron steps forward, expressing his gratitude for saving his son and apologizes for drawing his weapon on her. The villagers warmly welcome Selena to her new home, and Dolan, playing along, formally introduces himself, pretending they hadn't known each other all along. Few days pass, and Selena has integrated seamlessly with the villagers, laughing and chatting as if she's always been a part of their community. Dolan watches with a sense of pride, knowing that his efforts to protect and integrate her have paid off. Feeling a deep sense of gratitude, he decides to offer thanks to the goddess Mirel in person. That night, he leaves his body in astral form and ascends into the night sky, finally arriving at what appears to be the goddess's ethereal realm. In his dragon form, he's greeted warmly by the radiant goddess Mirel, who happily engages him in light conversation. Dolan expresses his thanks for her intervention, as her guidance saved Selena's life. Mirel replies, noting how kind and gentle Selena seems, she couldn't ignore such goodness. Dolan finds it incredible that she recognized him as a dragon born in a human body, but Mirel simply laughs, explaining that his life force radiates much stronger than anyone else's, especially when he prays. She recalls how he once seemed weary of existence back when he was purely a dragon, so his current happiness surprises her. Dolan reflects on how, during his life as a dragon, he felt almost relieved when a hero's blade ended his time. Now, in his human form, he's discovering joy and building cherished memories. He explains to Mirel that he finds human life short but rich, each day holding a new experience or lesson. Mirel observes, with a gentle smile, that his heart seems unusually joyful, hinting that perhaps it has something to do with a certain snake companion. She notices that Selena, too, has found renewed happiness since joining the village. With a quiet laugh, she sends him back to his body. The next morning, Selena storms into Dolan's room with a boisterous energy, commanding him to get his lazy self out of bed. Groaning, Dolan reminds her to knock before barging in, mentioning that he might be busy with some personal time. Selena waves his complaint off, insisting that he gets up because today's going to be an incredible day. They head out to see the village buzzing with excitement, a highly anticipated sparring match is set to take place between Christina, a strong, independent night woman, and Vice Captain Mal. Villagers gather to watch as Christina and Mal face off, and the men among them debate which fighter is the stronger of the two. Christina notices Mal holding back slightly and, with a grin, urges her to go all out. Mal grins back, pulling out her dagger, and announces she's about to show Christina some country-style swordplay. Their blades clash fiercely, with Mal unleashing swift attacks and Christina blocking with expert precision. At one point, Christina disarms Mal with a skillful maneuver, causing Mal to blush and question her own feelings as she stares at Christina in awe. Baron breaks the awkward tension with a hearty slap on Mal's back, congratulating her on the impressive effort. Afterward, Mal extends an invitation for Christina to join her at a village celebration, and the entire crowd cheers, thrilled with the duel's exciting outcome. Later that evening, Christina and Mal head to the tavern, ordering food and drinks. The tavern girls hover around Christina, clearly smitten with her K-pop star looks. Baron joins them, playfully urging Christina to drink with him, despite a warning from Albert, who shares that Baron has a notorious reputation for drinking until dawn. Laughing, Mal shoos Baron off, declaring dibs on Christina for the evening. With a smirk, Baron playfully wrestles his friends nearby, much to their mutual amusement. Christina heads back to her quarters after a lively night, lying on her bed in full armor, only to notice Baron stumbling around the barn with his companions. Feeling left out, she heads outside to the mountainside for a midnight training session. Spotting her, Dolan and Selena walk up, with Selena, somewhat obliviously, asking if she's practicing her sword skills. Christina replies sarcastically that she's perfecting her weed whacking, making Selena's eyes light up with curiosity as she eagerly offers to join. Amused, Selena invites them back to her cozy, hay-filled home. Selena immediately jumps onto the bed, proclaiming it's the comfiest bed she's ever slept on, then promptly asks Christina to join her. Dolan raises an eyebrow, wondering why everyone around him seems so thirsty. Christina, however, doesn't hesitate and flops onto the bed, enjoying the company. Standing by with an amused look, Dolan talks about how the village life is tough but rewarding, though the girls seem only halfway interested in his musings. They pull him onto the bed with them, embracing the joy and warmth of friendship as another peaceful night settles over the village. The next morning, Dolan heads to the village tavern, where the lively crowd is eagerly drinking fresh milk from Baron's wife. Baron stands proudly, boasting that no one in the village can drink more of his wife's milk than he can, an odd tradition, but the villagers seem to embrace it. Soon after, Christina walks in, greeted warmly by everyone around. Baron calls her over, challenging her to try his wife's milk too. Curious about this unusual custom, Christina takes a huge mug and, in one big gulp, finishes it, savoring the taste. Realizing that Christina can handle the milk without flinching, Baron grins with excitement, issuing her a challenge to a drink-off. They proceed to chug glass after glass, with Baron's wife watching nervously from behind the bar, muttering about possibly losing a cup size if this keeps up. Eventually, Baron taps out, too full to continue, leaving Christina victorious as she nonchalantly finishes her final mug without a problem. Little while later, as Christina, Dolan, and Selena are chatting together, a cheerful woman approaches Christina. She smiles and, holding out a pitcher, asks Christina if she could do her a favor. With a strange gleam in her eye, she offers Christina a fresh jug, explaining that this is the first batch of milk her young daughter has produced. Though a little unusual, Christina decides to humor her, taking a big gulp and remarking on how sweet and fresh it tastes. She even asks for a second serving, which earns her an enthusiastic hug from the woman's daughter. Despite the odd situation, the villagers applaud her willingness to join in their customs. Later on, Dolan takes Christina and Selena back to his farm to help him with some labor, figuring they could lend a hand. Selena is surprisingly excited, diving into the work and enthusiastically planting potatoes, though with little attention to spacing. Christina, on the other hand, treats the soil like a boxing ring, punching it hard, much to Dolan's amusement. Just as he's about to teach her the proper technique, a guard comes running up in a hurry. He tells them they're urgently needed at the village gate. They drop what they're doing and follow him, quickly making their way to the gates, where they find Baron already waiting, along with several worried-looking villagers. At the gate stands a stern-looking commissioner, flanked by a group of royal guards. He wastes no time surrounding Dolan and Selena, questioning Dolan sharply, asking if he's the one who brought a foreign creature, specifically a monster, into the kingdom, which is strictly under the king's protection. The village priest steps forward, calmly informing the commissioner that the oracle herself has blessed the Lamia, confirming her intentions as pure. But the commissioner, though respectful of the goddess Mirel's divine message, insists that Selena must go through the official government process if she intends to live in the kingdom like a citizen. Dolan, sensing something off in the commissioner's tone, cautiously requests permission to accompany Selena to the capital. Surprisingly, the commissioner agrees, arranging for both Dolan and Selena to be escorted to the capital under royal guard watch. As they prepare to leave, Christina, watching from the side, grows increasingly uneasy. Knowing Selena's peaceful intentions, she worries about what awaits them at the capital. Determined to help, she decides to consult with the headmistress of her own institution, who holds considerable influence over government affairs. Without hesitation, she uses a speed-enhancing spell to boost her travel time and departs quickly, making her way to the capital ahead of Dolan and Selena's carriage. When Christina arrives in the capital, she immediately arranges a meeting with the headmistress, an esteemed elf named Olivia. Seated across from Olivia, Christina urgently explains the situation, emphasizing that Selena is not a threat, and pointing out that she has the goddess Mirel's blessing. Olivia, however, cautions her, mentioning that there's a powerful mage in the government, known as Kieran, who has been stirring up rumors against Selena. According to Olivia, Kieran sees Selena as a dangerous threat, claiming her presence has coincided with a series of recent disappearances, though there's no evidence linking her to them. Christina, taken aback, argues that Selena would never harm anyone, and couldn't possibly be connected to the disappearances. Olivia agrees wholeheartedly, confirming that Selena was nowhere near the areas where these incidents occurred. She confides that she believes Kieran may be using the accusations as a pretext to eliminate Selena for personal reasons, though she cannot yet prove it. Christina leaves the meeting even more worried, fearing that Dolan and Selena may have unknowingly stepped into a dangerous trap as they journey to the capital. She closes her eyes and quietly prays for their safety, hoping they'll be able to navigate the perils they may soon face.
The carriage comes to an abrupt stop in the middle of nowhere, and the commissioner steps out, signaling for them to follow. He gives them a surprising tip before leading them to Kieran. The eerie witch greets them with a false smile, dismissing the commissioner to handle his duties inside the mansion. Kieran's servants prepare an extravagant feast for the guests, and she invites Selena to eat as much as she pleases, saying that Selena deserves to be treated well after being summoned so suddenly. Selena thanks Kieran, admitting that when the soldiers arrived, she thought they had come to kill her. Kieran responds that such an idea is absurd, as she has no intention of harming someone as innocent and beautiful as Selena. As the meal continues, Kieran mentions she has seen many Lamia before, but Selena is the most beautiful of them all. She compliments her flawless skin and shimmering scales, stating that she admires everything about her. However, her demeanor changes abruptly as she reveals her true intentions, declaring that she almost wants to eat Selena alive. Selena is stunned by this horrifying revelation, but before she can react, the drugs laced in the food begin to take effect. Both Selena and Dolan lose consciousness. Meanwhile, the old commissioner arrives at Olivia's office, where Christina is shocked to see him. She immediately demands to know where Dolan and Selena are, but the commissioner ignores her questions and insists on speaking with Olivia privately. Olivia allows him to skip the formalities and informs Christina that she needs to hear the details as well. The commissioner explains that there is a female mage in the city who is over 300 years old and suspected to be behind the recent incidents. This mage, he reveals, is human but has been using forbidden magic to steal the bodies of young women, effectively mimicking a chimera to maintain her youth. This time, she has taken a dangerous interest in Selena. Christina pieces the information together and becomes frantic, realizing the urgency of the situation. Back at Kieran's mansion, Selena awakens to find herself restrained in a dark, eerie basement. Kieran stands nearby, admiring her beauty and vitality. Kieran picks up a blade and approaches Selena, intending to harm her, but Dolan interrupts, demanding that Kieran stop. He frees himself from his restraints, leaving Kieran puzzled, as she wonders if she miscalculated the dosage of the drug. Ignoring her remarks, Dolan focuses on the magical circle drawn on the floor and deduces the forbidden spell she has been using. He asks Kieran how many lives she has taken, and she casually replies that she stopped counting after 100. Dolan questions her motives, and Kieran reveals her obsession with beauty, confessing that she collects the most attractive traits from those she deems beautiful to enhance herself. She admits to making a pact with the devil to learn forbidden magic and has replaced parts of her body with features stolen from various creatures. Kieran then reveals her latest plan, to use Selena's Lamia skin to rejuvenate herself and become even more beautiful. Selena, regaining her composure, asks if Kieran deceived other women similarly before betraying them. Kieran coldly responds that the women she targeted led miserable lives and that she gave their beauty a greater purpose. Selena is heartbroken and enraged by this cruelty, her eyes filling with tears. As Kieran boasts about her plans, Dolan discreetly activates a communication device hidden in his ear, transmitting the entire conversation to the commissioner and others. Kieran is oblivious to this until Olivia and her unit burst through the walls, catching her by surprise. Christina rushes to check on her friends while the commissioner orders the soldiers to apprehend Kieran. Olivia apologizes to Dolan and Selena for using them as bait but explains that proof was necessary to take action against Kieran. Both Olivia and Christina admonish Kieran, telling her that true beauty cannot be stolen and that her actions were cruel and monstrous. Furious at their remarks, Kieran loses her composure. She recounts her tragic backstory, describing how she was abandoned by her parents due to her ugliness and how she turned to stealing beauty from others as a way to cope. Her pact with the devils only fueled her ambitions and cruelty further. Enraged by her plan's failure, Kieran undergoes a horrifying transformation into a grotesque, monstrous form. She attacks Selena, but Dolan pulls her to safety. Kieran then turns her attention to the soldiers, who are easily overwhelmed by her tentacles. Selena uses her cursed eyes to immobilize Kieran temporarily, giving the soldiers a chance to regroup. However, the effort drains Selena's strength, leaving her vulnerable. Kieran takes the opportunity to attack Selena again, but Christina steps in, severing Kieran's fingers with her blade. Kieran quickly regenerates and retaliates with dark magic, summoning hundreds of eyes across her body. Christina blocks the attack and continues fighting, her blade glowing with newfound power. Meanwhile, Dolan draws two magic circles on the ground, one for an attack spell and the other for a barrier. Once prepared, Dolan activates the spells, trapping Kieran within the barrier while unleashing a barrage of magical arrows. The attack tears through Kieran's body, leaving her no time to regenerate. As her body disintegrates, the barrier collapses and detonates, ensuring there is no trace of Kieran left. The following day, Dolan and Selena find themselves in Olivia's mansion. Dolan begins tutoring Selena because she needs to pass a written exam to complete her paperwork. Selena apologizes for the trouble she caused, saying that using her cursed eyes the previous night ended up getting them confined in the mansion. Dolan reassures her that it is not a big deal, and they both sip tea as they continue their discussion. Before long, Christina arrives to check on Selena's progress. Not much later, Olivia and the commissioner join them as well. The commissioner apologizes to Dolan and Selena for dragging them into the incident with Kieran, leaving Selena flustered. Dolan and Selena assure him that they do not mind because everything ended well, especially thanks to the information and antidote he provided beforehand. The commissioner then hands Selena her documents, which officially allow her to stay in the village without needing to take the exam. Overjoyed, Selena beams with gratitude. Afterward, Olivia takes Dolan to meet Denzel, who is the son of the old hag in the village. Dolan and Denzel catch up, reminiscing about old times, while Selena introduces herself. Denzel mentions that his mother often writes about her in her letters, so he already knows about her. He then offers to show Selena around the city, and she happily accepts. However, while exploring the marketplace, Selena experiences the harsh reality of how fearful people are of her. When she tries to help a young boy, the boy recoils in fear. Dolan notices Selena's distress and comforts her. She decides that they should buy gifts for everyone in the village as a way to cheer up. Later, as they prepare to leave for the village, Denzel and Olivia exchange glances before inviting Dolan to join the academy. Denzel explains that he has heard about Dolan's extraordinary magic potential and believes it could be refined further at the academy. Dolan hesitates, explaining that he is already busy with responsibilities in the village. Olivia steps closer to him and whispers that she senses something unusual about his soul. She encourages him to join the academy, emphasizing that his powers could help more people if he broadened his knowledge. Denzel agrees, adding that learning more would also enable Dolan to protect the village better. Dolan says he will think about it, leaving Selena feeling disheartened at the thought of him leaving her behind. The story will be continued in future videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.